I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
I imagine this has been a very busy time for you with everything that's coming down with the Hall of Fame. It seems that every weekend you are booked up solid. What has the response been like since the announcement that you would be going into the Hall of Fame this year?
Oh, I've gotten a lot of attention for it. It's been really cool. I wasn't expecting it this early in my life, but when WWE approached me, I was very excited. I really didn't know if it was going to occur, considering I left the company, in 2006, and haven't spoken to them since. So it was nice to know that they wanted to, they wanted to share my career with everybody, especially the new millennials that never really watched me wrestle unless you see me on the WWE network. So it was nice to know that I was appreciated for the short period of time I gave to WWE.
How far in advance was the phone call made alerting you of this fact prior to the public being made known of this fact?
I'd say about a week.
Wow.
Triple H called me. I actually spoke to him last year, and he, we talked about doing some things with WWE, and he said, let's put something together, and I'll give you a call back. And I didn't hear from him for about a year. And he said, hey, we want to induct you in the Hall of Fame. I obviously pushed him further and said, what about a couple matches? And he started laughing. He said, listen, don't worry about that. Let's do the Hall of Fame. Let's focus on that. And when it's over, we'll talk about that. But right now, let's just focus on the Hall of Fame.
Did they have they indicated to you at all? I don't expect you to release a name, but when it comes to who is going to induct you, do you get a lot of say in that matter? Is there a short list of people that maybe they present to you? What's that process like of who's actually going to do the induction speech? Because everyone's kind of throwing out a lot of candidates at this time.
Honestly, I don't know. I always thought that you got to pick. I do believe that WWE will listen to you and listen to who you would like to induct you. But I think overall, I think they pick, and I'm okay with that. I think they know who I like and who I had great programs with and who I got along with the most. I always threw out there, I hope it's either Austin, Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, or John Cena. So I would imagine it's one of those four, but I don't know yet.
Man, if you were able to get Brock Lesnar into a suit and have a prepared speech, that would be quite the accomplishment right there, Kurt.
Yes, it would. He'd be a man of very few words.
Over the years, Kurt, whenever your deals were coming due with TNA, there was always that speculation out there. Is this going to be the year he makes his return? It was something a lot of people wanted to see. Was there ever any kind of feelers sent out, or have you largely been separate from the WWE in any kind of discussion during the past decade?
I was separate. I mean, when I went my way and WWE went theirs, Vince McMahon and I came to a mutual agreement. We felt that it was best that I parted at the time. It had a lot to do with injuries and my painkiller issues, but it wasn't that I was released. It wasn't that I quit. It was just one of those things where my body was falling apart. I was depending too much on painkillers, and I just felt like I was a liability to them. And it wasn't fair to Vince. It wasn't fair to WWE, and it wasn't fair to myself. So I left the company and obviously went to Impact Wrestling. I had a great career there, but I did truly miss the WWE. There's something about the fans. It's not the number of fans. They just really do have the most passionate fans in the world.
Do you look back at all, Kurt, that say 5 or 6 years ago, if something like that had occurred, even returning to the WWE with a limited schedule when you were going through the problems that you've been very public about, that in hindsight, that would have maybe been the worst choice for yourself? Because we're talking about your health at a time when you were definitely going through those struggles.
Yeah, what I truly wanted, and back then they didn't give too many people that. The only people I knew that was on a part-time deal in 2006 was Shawn Michaels, who was in the business for 20 years, and Undertaker. And even Undertaker's was a little bit more than part-time. So I did ask for that, but at that point in time, they really didn't offer that very much. I think after I left is when WWE started freeing up and starting to hire, part-time talent. Unfortunately, for me and the WWE, they weren't doing it in 2006, and so I understood. I asked, and it was worth asking, and I understood why they needed me full time. It's one of those things where if you're on TV every single week, the fans deserve to see you every week, and not only that, but at the live events too. So it's kind of hard to take a guy that's your top guy in your company and say, you know what, he's only going to be working 10% of the time, and only 10% of the people are going to see him live. So I understood why Vince didn't want to offer me that at the time, but he also understood that I did need to make a decision, and he did too, and we decided we would part ways.
Are you hoping to have any kind of conversation with Vince McMahon over WrestleMania weekend? Because I imagine it's been 11 years since you two last spoke.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I have, Vince and I have texted each other, but we haven't spoken. I speak directly to Triple H. He's obviously head of talent relations now. When Jim Ross was head of talent relations, or John Laurinaitis, I always spoke to him. But Vince and I always had a great relationship. I mean, I expect it to be the same when I return. I don't think there are any hard feelings. So I am looking forward to seeing him. He's the one person I miss the most. We had a lot of fun together, and we did a lot of things together, and the whole programs we had. It was just I looked at Vince not just as my boss, but as a father figure, and sometimes, as crazy as he gets, is more of a brother figure. So I really enjoyed the time I spent with him.
You have to have some respect for a man that tried to take down an Olympic gold medalist on an airplane.
Yeah, more than once. He's crazy. But that's the way Vince is. He has to feel what it's like to be in there with the best. You've seen him do it. He's done programs with Austin, Mick Foley, other wrestlers that have that kind of notoriety. So Vince is always testing people. I always said if Mike Tyson walked into Vince's office, Vince would want to see what it felt like to take a knockout punch from Mike Tyson. That's just how he is.
It was about a year ago that you made the decision to walk away from Impact Wrestling. And since you broke into professional wrestling, you had always been on someone else's schedule, them telling you where to be, when to be. And over the past year, you got to be on your own schedule. What has that year been like for you, health-wise and just mentally as well, being able to pick and choose when and where you work?
Well, I don't have to do it. It's not that I really need the money. It was more, who are these guys that I probably won't work with because my career's coming to an end? Are they significant enough for me to work with them? In other words, I always, I watched Cody Rhodes on TV. I watched Del Rio on TV in the WWE, and I always wanted to work with those guys. They're talented, like Zack Sabre Jr. or Joe Hendry or Joe Coffey, that are upcoming talent that I believe WWE will eventually sign. So, and I also wrestled Rey Mysterio at a live stream pay-per-view.
Yep.
They were just guys that I wanted to wrestle that I probably won't ever wrestle again, even if I do wrestle in WWE, because I probably won't be in WWE long enough to see a return from Cody or even Del Rio. So I just felt that in order to keep my body in shape in case I do wrestle in WWE, and also to wrestle the guys I never thought I would, I thought it'd be intriguing, and it's been a lot of fun.
One final thing on TNA, and then I want to chat about the Angle Strong app. You've worked in the past extensively with the likes of Jeff Jarrett, Scott D'Amore, and Dutch Mantell. They're now kind of the creative, the booking committee now for TNA. Do you feel that those are three individuals that can maybe get TNA back on course and turn fortunes around for this company? Because there's a lot of things going against TNA at the moment, and this is a change that I think TNA, they needed some change.
No, I agree. I think those guys are really well versed in creativity and in booking. They've always been good at that. When those guys were in TNA, that's when we were doing our highest ratings. So I think they're in the right direction, but it's about keeping the talent they do have. You have the Hardy Boys that I think are very significant in that company. I don't know if how long they're going to be there, but those guys are the kind of guys you want to keep in your company to be your stable, to help produce and make the younger talent. So hopefully they'll keep their big guns, the Bobby Lashley's, the Hardys, the names that have been there for quite some time and can really help the younger talent.
Moving over, you've recently launched the Angle Strong app, and I think you should really be commended because there's a lot of people that go through these struggles with drug use and addiction. It's a very different step to take to be so public about it, and you've been very open about these issues. Was that ever something difficult for you, Kurt, for someone that's obviously a very proud individual to come out publicly and stated, hey, I have this weakness that I had to deal with, these problems, and now trying to assist others with?
Well, for a long time, everybody, any celebrity that ever had a problem was always told by their PR or their agency or their manager, keep quiet, go to rehab, don't tell anybody where you're going, keep your mouth shut when you're done, keep your mouth shut, get back to work. And it's now getting so bad that you can no longer ignore it. I just felt like God a platform, being an Olympic gold medalist and one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, to speak out and help others that are struggling from addiction. I just read that in 2015 alone, there were over 52,000 opioid overdoses. That's a significant number. So it's not like that's not like it's becoming the minority. A lot of people are dying from it. It's become the majority. And I think that people like myself do need to speak out. And I just felt like when I got out of rehab, there wasn't any aftercare. There was AA meetings that you could go to, but if you're a dad of 5 kids and you're working, you travel a lot, and you just don't have time to do that, there is really nothing for you unless you pay for a counselor that can be pretty pricey. So I decided to come out with the Angle Strong app to help people stay in recovery and not have to spend a load of money to do it. If your insurance doesn't pay for rehab or counseling, it's going to be really, really expensive. So I thought the Angle Strong app would really help people. It would give them a guideline that they could follow, because addicts need, they really need to, they need everything laid out. They need a schedule. They need organization. That's how I've been my whole life. I'm always addicted to something, whether it's amateur wrestling, pro wrestling, my kids. I do everything with a huge passion. That's drugs. So I need that kind of platform or organization, and the Angle Strong app is perfect for it.
As you're dealing with many different people on this platform that are contacting you and going through their own struggles, I mean, do you feel that there's a massive problem, Kurt, when it comes to prescription drug abuse at this point, that it's becoming very easy for a lot of people with these problems to obtain this quick fix? Is there a larger issue here that needs to be addressed when it comes to prescription drug use?
Well, yeah, that's usually where it starts, with prescription drugs, but it doesn't end there. Prescription drugs, once you get addicted, you can only get so many legally, and then you have to go buy them illegally, and then after that, you can't afford it, so you go to heroin. It's one of those things where, for me, I didn't have to, go to the level of heroin, because I was able to pay for those, the prescription pills, or I should say unprescribed pills.
Right.
So, not many people are that fortunate they can do that. So they're going to get the drug any way they can. Once you're addicted, it could take you one month to get addicted. Once you're addicted, you're a prisoner of that drug. All you think about is how you're going to get it tomorrow so you don't go through withdrawal. How are you going to get your high, and how are you going to refrain from going through withdrawal, and yet you worry about it all day long. I mean, I literally had a schedule of where I was going to get my drugs, how I was going to do it, how many doctors I needed to get prescriptions, how many I was going to buy illegally. It became my obsession, and I did. I was 65 extra state Vicodin in a day, and over 2,200 pills a month I was buying. It got really pricey, but not only that, I risked overdosing many, many times. So I was very, very blessed not to end my life. And I feel like since I'm here now and I'm clean for 4 years, it's time for me to help others that are struggling from addiction.
I would imagine, Kurt, one of the things that is just so remarkable about your case is that the ability to mask pain and ignore signs your body may be giving you was some of the characteristics that drove you towards an Olympic gold medal. And I imagine a lot of those same traits made it very difficult to acknowledge that you did have a problem, that your body was trying to tell you something, that you were somewhat trained to ignore that message and push forward.
Yeah, I mean, when I wasn't taking painkillers when I wrestled in the Olympics. You can't take that stuff. But, once I got into pro wrestling, I broke my neck for the first time in pro wrestling, which was the second time I broke it. I was introduced to painkillers for the first time, and I loved it. I loved the way it made me feel. It did mask the pain. It also masked emotional pain. I had a lot of different things happen to me in my life, including a very bad marriage, deaths of family members. My sister died of a heroin overdose, literally half a year after I started into painkillers. So it's been in my family, and I've seen a lot of bad stuff happen. I didn't want to feel anything. The painkillers helped me not to feel anything.
And what would you kind of single out as, that rock bottom moment for you, Kurt, that forced you to make those necessary changes in your life? I mean, you mentioned being clean for 4 years now. Is that when that moment occurred for you?
Oh, I was going to lose my family. I was going to lose my beautiful wife, Giovanna, and my kids. I knew after my fourth DUI in 5 years, once you're addicted to a drug and you pull back on that drug, you start going to other drugs. And what I did was I started taking anxiety medication so I wouldn't take as many painkillers. And then I started taking both of those. So I started drinking alcohol, and I was mixing all three, and I got very careless. I was in the lowest point of my life in 2010, 11, 12, 13, and I had 4 DUIs in 5 years. And my wife, I called my wife from jail and said, "Listen, you have to go to rehab. If you don't go to rehab, I have to leave you. I love you, but I can't stay with you." And that was my lowest point. Calling my beautiful wife that I just married the year prior, and her telling me she's going to leave me if I don't go to rehab.
Wow. It's an incredible story, Kurt. And for those that want to get more information, it's at anglestrong.com. And if I'm correct here, if you sign up, you can get a 7-day trial to kind of see if it works for you. And can you just tell a little bit more about how this can help people that might be listening to this that are going through some of these issues?
Yeah, there are so many things to the app. It's great for structure, and that's what the recovering addict needs. And it does everything for you. You answer the questions that it asks you every day. If you don't answer the questions, you don't check in, your lifelines, whether it be your family, your loved ones, your sponsor, will be notified. If you do relapse, it's GPS enabled, so we're going to find you. There are so many things in this app. They have a great chat room where recovering addicts can talk to each other. I'm going to have a monthly video call where every member of Angle Strong will be able to listen and talk to me. We're really excited to bring this to the table. We're going to have other programs, workout programs, diet, career choices, all on the anglestrong.com website. So we're opening this up. We're going to be the whole ball of wax. If you want to go to AA meetings, we're going to have AA meetings closest to you. Rehab's best suited for you. We're the whole ball and wax. We're going to do everything for the recovering addicts so they don't have to think about anything.
Well, Kurt, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Once again, you can go to anglestrong.com for all the information on the Angle Strong app. And, of course, Friday night, March the 31st, he will be going into the Hall of Fame. And if Kurt has his way, he'll be wrestling at least one more match this year in the WWE. Is that correct?
Yes, hopefully a lot more. But I'm not ready to retire, but I know my day is coming soon. Will
you have to go through any physical testing with WWE? Have they indicated that's a process you'd have to go through first?
Oh yeah. I'll have to take the physical without a doubt. I'm sure they're going to be drug testing me, make sure everything's, make sure that I am who I say I am. So I think that there's a lot I'm going to have to do before I wrestle.
Well, it's great to hear that you're in a good place in your life, Kurt. Very much looking forward to the Hall of Fame induction at the end of the month. And thanks so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you back here on the show.
Great being on. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Kurt.